Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock, we're here to take you there. From superheroes to aliens in outer space, we've got the latest news and reviews in our embrace. Turn on your screen, let the neon lights glow. We'll take you back to the 80s. Let's rock and roll. Sci-Fi Center, where the legends come alive. Get ready to geek out, let your imagination thrive. We're diving into the past with a touch of modern flair. Sci-Fi Center, the ultimate pop culture lair.
Better late than never. Welcome to the much delayed Daredevil Born Again episode of the week. This is episode 4, which is titled Psych Semper Systema. Now, what that means, you probably heard that if you're a Marine, you heard of Semper Fidelis, you know what that means. This translates into thus always the system. If we simplify what it stands for, it means that a system or government can be overthrown or challenged. And if you have been watching these episodes, as you know, hell, if you've been watching the original series leading up to this, you understand that the system is a big part of. It's almost an extra character. Everyone in this show uses the system to their advantage or is fighting against the system. Kingpin is corrupting the system. Daredevil, Matt Murdock is trying to work within the system, and Frank Castle just says, fuck the system. So the system is the rule of law, the established rule of law. It's being challenged every episode of this show so far. In this episode, I have seen this episode. This is the first time that I've entered a Daredevil Born Again episode, and having previously seen it. Usually I'm behind everyone else. This is this episode here. Let me go ahead and bring in Brad too, because Brad has seen it as well, and we got a guest in the that I'll bring on. This episode, like I said, out of the 39 episodes that I explained last night, there are reasons why this episode ranks up there ahead of most of them, including the 39, including the ones we've seen here. The dynamic and what happens in this episode, and it's not for the reasons that you think, in my opinion. But once again, the dialogue, they've refined it, they've improved on it, they've improved on the acting. Charlie Cox, this is, in my opinion, going to be his best. It's definitely his best Matt Murdock. You can make a difference at Daredevil, or you can make the argument that Daredevil is a different character, and that when he puts on the red suit, he becomes a different person, and we haven't seen him excel here yet. But as far as Matt Murdock goes, this is the best 40 some odd minutes of Matt Murdock in the entirety of this series, and that goes all the way back to 2015. I am assuming that this is going to be Spidey.
And you are wrong.
Oh, it's Clint. Oh, wow. I'm glad, dude, knowing what you went to today, I'm glad that you're even on this broadcast, man. So welcome here. So, I'm happy to be wrong.
Yeah, I don't have my computer. I'm using my phone, and it doesn't have all my presets.
Hey, that's, like I said, once again, I was knowing our previous conversation, I was not expecting you to be here. So I'm glad to have you in any capacity for however long you can sustain it. So,
William, quick, and you're probably already thinking about this. A quick confession I need to make. Tonight, I was not able to get my laptop set up in front of time because I was getting some work done at the time. So I'm having to kind of, make do, and this is from my PC, so I'm gonna keep on mute as much as possible when I'm not talking. It'll be
So,
back to normal tomorrow. And
so are you
well-
going to use the string and cup?
Well, so far so good. It's not. I don't hear it right now.
Okay.
So maybe. But
maybe
like
it'll
I
level
said,
off.
yeah. So maybe something's going on, but you never know.
Well,
All
meanwhile,
right. And that
look
is
who's
not
here.
your sister. We'll just
100%
don't
my
start
sister.
with me. I will clear the screen. I will clear the screen. All right, so we're gonna just go ahead and get started because, like I said, started a little bit later. Is everybody where they need to be? Because I am at zeros.
Are you running it through on Twitch?
Do you need me to?
Is that all right?
Hold on, give me a couple minutes. I'll be right back.
Sorry.
No problem. I'll be right back.
Yes, I am once again in the hospital.
Okay, so
Oh,
I actually wasn't aware of that. So can you fill me in on what that's all about, man?
Well,
I mean, you're comfortable doing that?
the reason why I don't go into my horrible health history is because this is a comic book show.
Okay.
But just generally, I'm running low on blood.
Okay. So you need a blood transfusion basically today is kind of what the long and short of it.
No, not today. I'm still above the limit, but just barely. But tomorrow, probably going to have another one.
All right. Well, best of luck, man.
Yeah, the problem is they can't find where it's going.
Like the blood that's inside you, they can't figure out what's causing it to deplete.
Right.
I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I mean, it's like,
so you got internal bleeding or something?
yeah, it's rough.
Well, they've looked everywhere with every machine they have, even the ones that go beep.
Well, get well soon, man. Wish you best of luck. Meanwhile, William's not here. I just thought I'd go ahead and bring up the topic. Hey, Aaron, isn't Bren Foster awesome?
Yeah.
Oh, even when he's not here, he's buzzing me.
As well he should.
By the way, Aaron's now.
It's like he
now,
has mind control.
Yeah, exactly. Now, also, Aaron, on a scale of 1 to 10, how far past 10 is the raid?
Oh, 10 out of 10.
Oh yeah, here comes the buzz again. I'm sure. But anyway, so yeah, this episode's pretty rad. Obviously, definitely William on that. Really, it's crazy to think it's been already 9 years since the last time we saw Daredevil and Punisher in an episode together. And I mean, this really kind of cements. This cements Bernthal. I think, yeah, he really is kind of like the definitive sort of live action Punisher we've had, and trying to without giving too much away.
How many episodes there are in a season?
On this shit, well, on Netflix it was 13. On this, on Born Again, it's going to be 9, and this is number 4.
Oh, okay. So I have time to catch up.
So after this will be 4, 5.
Yeah, we're just
5.
about the halfway mark.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, they're dropping 2 episodes next week.
It's gotten so fast, hasn't it?
Yes.
Aaron, I just put the link into the chat for
cool, thank you.
Let me know when you're ready.
Well, I can't stay very long because I'm using my phone. So have a good show.
All right, man. Get well soon.
Take care.
Later.
All right. Let me know when you're ready.
Yeah, I got it. It should be at the Disney Plus logo, right?
Yep.
Right.
All right,
I'm ready.
you guys can start now.
All right, here we go.
Loading at the moment.
All right. 3, 2, 1, and we are playing. Oops. I want to do that.
Now, William, I'm not fully clear on this, but the title of this episode, Seek.
Yeah, you came in right after I put that on. All right, so I'll go over that again because Brad, Brad's timing is just what it is. It means hold on, oops. Aaron, are you still up? Can you see everything?
Yeah, I'm watching it right at the moment.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure. Hold on for a second. I just want to make sure.
You might need to put the volume on.
Oops. Yes. Hold on. We're going through the recap right now.
That's all right.
All right. Now the term Sikh system systema means is it's taken from the Latin and translates to thus always the system. Simplified, it stands for a system can be of government can be overthrown or challenged.
By the way, also the term sistema is the name of a martial art from Russia. I'm mentioning that for no reason.
As usual.
Oh wow. Oh, so it's like a Russian martial arts.
Yeah, it's what they teach like the Spetsnaz, and it's kind of like the Russian equivalent to like Krav Maga. It's like what they teach their military.
No.
Pretty sure they'll open the door for her to become something later on.
Oh yeah, she's totally gonna be the new White Tiger. Come on.
I don't know where they're gonna stick her. Please don't do it in this show. Creepy ass motherfucker. Shit. Sorry.
That's the first time I've heard you sneeze on here.
I usually am muting it, but I got too many things up going right now that I don't want to fuck up in the stream. I don't want to brad myself.
Brad myself. Brad myself, of course, means find fortune and glory, like in Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
That's what
Brad
it
means
means.
get us kicked off. You either manually mess up and get kicked off the stream, or get us kicked off the stream. Aaron's losing our internet there.
Yeah, whoever's running the internet in Australia, to hell with you.
So am I, because he's an interesting choice. He is a Daredevil enemy. Don't get me wrong, but he had such a short run. And there's no sidekick here for him to deal with. So, yeah, because he does some brutal stuff. This guy's gross. and you'll see, what he does here in this show. But he's like a bad. But like I said, every time I see any of the previews, Daredevil's beating the hell out of him. So I don't know what. I got to look up who does the opening scenes and scores. It's got to be the people from Westworld. It sounds exactly like them, and the way they put it together is exactly like Westworld would open up. All right, now these cops in this show, they're not. This show is not a threat to the police. Every cop in this show is in this particular version of the show is dirty as hell. And I want people to understand that, yeah, there are some bad ones out there, but not to this level. This is video game villain cop level shit, dude. This is
So crazy.
Look at that skyline behind him. Like I'm telling you, they spent like a good $40 million more on this show compared to Daredevil on Netflix. It just had to be at least that.
It's very cinematic. It should have been like more of a movie.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that, Aaron, because you know who I remember when Daredevil on Netflix, when it was first starting on Netflix, there was somebody who was involved with Marvel at the time who was saying, no, that totally should have been a movie. And so, you know who that was? It was Joss Whedon. I ever seen an interview where he said that?
Well, the one thing about the Marvel Cinematic Universe is there's one tone, there's one level at which they do things, and even they recognize it. When they don't, they'll scrap something if it's not to their level.
I mean, they basically done that with Blade. I mean, let's be honest, and they kind of did that.
Well, they did it with this show.
Well, they did that with the first iteration of Ant-Man too. With the Edgar Wright.
Yeah, they have a identifiable brand that they want, and that's what they aim for. Which is, like I said, once DC gets there, they're going to be at the same level. I'm not the biggest fan of these. This was the only weak point of the episode for me. It's these.
Yeah.
I don't care for them. I don't care. I mean,
these little conversations with Vanessa and Fisk.
Yeah.
Which usually those are pretty good, but not so much here.
This episode, be honest with you, I almost forgot that they even had this part because, like I said, once you get to the certain scenes, there's a couple of them in this episode that are just rewatchable at any given time. It's like obviously the Frank Castle scene, and there's another one that I thought that when you hear what the title is, the system. The system is the enemy in this episode. It's the villain in this episode.
Of course, she feels safe in the marriage.
She's married to a man who's willing to, cut people's heads off of the car door for her. So that's love.
Can I say the BB report should be its own little mini web series?
What's that?
What you mean?
I said, shouldn't the BB report be its own little mini series? Put on
Who
YouTube.
knows? Yeah. This whole interaction, the court is great. Not as good as the Frank and him, but it's a very heavy part of this episode. I wonder how many times they had to say that without fucking it up.
What's they fiddle faddle?
Fiddle faddle flavor corn.
Fiddle faddle, the funnel fairy butter bar. I still.
I meant to Yeah.
Hold on. Hold on. Okay, I think we're back to normal now.
Yeah, I sneezed, but I muted myself. But then when
then
I
you
went
took
to
me off the
unmute,
screen.
I took you off the screen by
I
accident.
was like, wait a minute, what did I say something offensive there?
Ah.
There was a glitch in the Matrix.
Yes, that happens. Yeah, commonplace on the Sci-Fi Center, of course. Seriously, I demand to know what funnel fairy butter bar means.
You know what it reminds me of? Like a name of a fair food. You know how you go to
Yeah.
a fair? Something like that? It's like something like that.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, like throw darts and hit the balloon, and you win a funnel fairy butter bar.
You guys would probably want to look. I don't know if Aaron. This is a really good scene. His sense of humor here is hilarious. It's just like you got to deal with this guy.
That looks like a small claims courtroom.
Yeah, I can see that. That's why you don't take them to small claims court. It'll drain 8 hours out of your life, and you'll probably won't show up if you.
If you've ever been to court, that's the area before you go into court where something you can kind of eliminate that part.
Well, I kind of did that because I've never served on jury duty, but I've gotten a summons. I've gotten a jury summons twice, and the first time, God, that was like 18 years ago now. I can't believe it's been that long. First time, we were doing like the whole jury selection, and if I remember correctly, it's like I did get picked, and we were going to go into the case. I don't remember what it was for. I think it was like a criminal thing. I think it was like a murder case at any rate. But
now he's about to go take this to him, and this is where the the whole system thing, it starts to take shape as far as this episode goes. This is fucking hilarious right here. I forgot about this part. It's an important part too.
It's an important part with the guy who has your name.
Yes, the guys who beat up Rodney King, one of them had my name too. I never got over that.
I mean, you know, Nicholas.
Hold on. Watch this, guys. Let's watch what he does here. He's telling the truth.
Oh yeah, that is. Yeah, you're right.
That's the ruse. Yeah, he wanted to know.
His heart rate is still normal. Yep. Like, so if we're done measuring dicks.
But that was that whole stunt was to eliminate him as the suspect.
He just risked getting.
God, this reminds me of an episode of Law and Order. Oh my God!
Now, this is another weak point of the episode. I really don't care about any of this. I don't care about anybody on the screen right now.
Yeah, it's kind of. Well, I mean, the trade-off is, though, I mean, it does kind of let them showcase just how much bigger their budget is again with the set they're in. Or
that's fine, but it just meant nothing. I understand what they want him how they want me to see him, and they've done that. I like James Gandolfino's kid. I forgot his first name, but he's good for what he is. But right now he just doesn't have. Why is he on my screen? You know,
Gandolfini.
Yeah, James Gandolfini. Yeah. Sound like you said James Gunn.
No, James Gandolfini's son. I forgot what's his actual.
James Gandolfini.
Yeah, that was Tony Soprano.
Yeah. See, every other episode of Law and Order, whatever spin-off
Michael Gandolfini.
Oh, Michael, sorry. Yeah. There's always like a big measuring competition between like a lawyer or a cop. They're always buddy heads. Love it. I reckon this is nice.
Like I said, I'm not saying that if you are watching along that you should skip past this. That's a matter of opinion. But I don't think the episode would suffer if you did. But I'm gonna go ahead and go through it because it's watch along.
But I mean,
I reckon it's nice to see him do this role and start acting. You're pretty much watching him like he's doing like acting school, pretty much.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of what plays to what I said, like the comparison to Netflix Daredevils. I mean, because again, love the show throughout, but they're like with a lot of, particularly season 2, it's like you look back, it's like there are areas like particularly like a lot of the dialogue scenes, so they could have trimmed some fat there.
Yeah, this right here this is what would have happened in Netflix Daredevil.
This whole scene is they trimmed like they trimmed like 99% of the fat when on Born Again. This is like some of like the untrimmed fat basically.
But again, Well, in hindsight of after we watch this, right?
Hmm?
You're going to look back and say, "Wow, I was present in watching this young actor propel to stardom."
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
All right, this dialogue was really good.
Oh shit! Did you hear that?
What's that?
Charlie's British accent came out. Oh
Yes, you're right. Yeah.
shit! Oh shit!
I mean, yes, he was in the moment.
Oh
Yeah.
shit! Disney Plus edit, edit. Okay.
I don't know. Maybe they'll go back after tonight. Maybe
This
they'll
the
go back
point.
and
This,
sub it.
the whole point of having Leroy here is that he's basically a avatar of what's going on. This will be funnier in a few minutes.
Fun facts: that song is about anti-capitalism.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. David Slade made his Daredevil.
Yeah,
Josh Hartnett. Yeah.
They had to reshoot this thing because the choir that they had was too good. They wanted them to sound bad, so they had to hire new actors to reshoot it.
Hey, at least it's good with children.
I'm right back, guys.
This is funny. Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh, he's gonna kill you.
Yeah, we got about 5 minutes here until Williams' favorite part comes up.
I love the way he does this. He uses. Oh, I wish they would visualize this though.
Ooh.
This is neat, but like I said, I wish they would have visualized it because of how I could hear that bottle hit that round. and the way he uses common sense to, well, if something cylindrical would roll down here, this is what that round would. That's kind of cool. And you can also feel that there's a logo on there on that round.
Ooh. And also, don't forget, bullets have like numbers at the
They
bottom.
do, but there's something else that's on. You'll see here in a couple minutes. There's something else on there
Oh, okay.
that's more relevant than a number.
Hmm. Strange.
Here's the moment we've been waiting for. Oh, Frank loves to make an entrance, doesn't he? Now, William, correct me if I'm wrong, but was Punisher, was he or was he not in the original version of the show before they did the? I don't think he was he?
He was, but this is shot out of order.
Okay,
It was.
so even if he was, but even then it was still like different from what has been presented.
Yeah, it's just They explained how they did it, how they reshot it, but he was definitely going to be in the original show, but he opted out, and then they reshot his scenes.
Yeah, because I think for a lot of people, like the way their relationship is established here was just like, oh, how you been? Been peachy. Like this scene more so than any other that we've seen on Born Again so far. This really cements this as Daredevil season 4 for me.
I have a different opinion on that, but I want to hear him first.
Right.
I think it separates itself from the previous 39 episodes.
I think so. Okay.
Oh my god.
And these dudes have not seen each other in 9 years.
I'm surprised that Disney hasn't been cancelled because of that.
Oh, how many F bombs have we gotten so far on this Disney Plus show?
Oh no, this will be on another level, you know?
Hold on, guys.
Oh. No. Cartoons. Oh, here we go.
That's why John Bernthal is the only live action Punisher. That's it right there. I cannot make a better. I'm talking over this season because I don't give a fuck about what's going on here. Um, I have no other evidence to present to you. The way they just played off of each other for the last 5 minutes, the way they keyed each other's legitimate points of view. You got two people that were diametrically opposed of how to resolve issues, but they had more in common. That's the only thing they have in common. Don't have in common is that one will willingly target and shed blood, where the other one will not. Other than that, their 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 aims are true. They're both suffering. They're both doing what they do because they're suffering. Matt started this because of his father, and now he's escalated it because of everything around him. Foggy. And the same thing with the Punisher. They each have these moments where it shapes what they are, and then the people around them that aren't these monsters are getting cut down. And when he said say his name, Matt Murdock could not say his name. He was so detached from what happened to Foggy that he couldn't. Saying his name was almost like cracking an egg, and that's and the fact that it wasn't just Charlie Cox's expression and everything else, it was John Bernthal's respect for that respect for that trauma that Matt Murdock's been through. He said, "That's my home. That's where I live." There was a mutual respect for what each other had been through, and you don't have that in these other portrayals of them. You did not have a scene like that. What we just saw in any of the 39 episodes of the previous show, and that's not to knock that show. Of course not. It's to show you that how they brought up to a different level. That scene separates Born Again from Daredevil Netflix, in my opinion. Hello, Alvin. How you doing? He's got all kinds of guns. That's the Punisher. The reunion is comparable to Walter White and Better Call Saul. Non doctor. No, yeah. Well, not as it's in. Yeah, I guess it was intense because of what had happened, but
Yeah, so I was just about to ask, because again, like I first saw the scenes, like this cemented for me. Yeah, this is like the the linchpin where it's like they made the decision where we're building upon what the show was on Netflix, and so like when you say separate, are you talking about? Like, I mean, that's separated continuity wise, but you're talking about separated.
no, it separates it to where there's I don't see this as season 4 anymore. Because there's so many things that usually when you have a linear show, they don't, it gets better along the lineage. This show's on a different level than anything they ever did in those previous 39 issues of comic, 39 episodes. You could, there's an intensity and there's a sense of dread throughout every one of these episodes that you just feel you're being pushed towards something awful. That's something that you're going to have to deal with no matter what. I didn't feel that consistently in the previous show. You just went from one issue to another and you had common things going on. This show, it's not just about one particular person. You got Muse running out there doing his thing. You got the Kingpin doing his thing. And you got these cops doing their thing. And it's all headed towards something bad. Different angles of escalation for me. And then you're about to have a little reveal here. this scene is great, though. The way they kept going back and forth. That's another thing I think they've done a little bit better they've gone back and forth to never let you get fixed on one particular thing. They're meaning to tell you that these guys are on a collision course. Everything in this show is on a collision course. It is beautiful. I've never, and by the way, that title is perfect for this episode. Perfect for this episode.
They're the masks in the trailer.
There's the nunchuck.
Number 2.
I kind of knew where this was headed as soon as he was getting that prepared. I'm like,
Oh
damn it.
my god. That actually looks really nice. Except for the
Three
white.
guesses who that is, and none of them count.
Highest form of love.
Can we have like a Daredevil cookbook, please?
A Daredevil what?
Cookbook.
Oh, that was good. Yeah, that was an awesome way to.
Oh shit.
By the way, that's called a rope dart. Where he's practicing with there.
All right, now, like I said, and I love the way they sprinkle this in.
Yeah, they weren't kidding also when they said this show is like way darker, way more intense than Netflix, and that's saying something. Look back on Netflix; they didn't pull any punches there.
Muse, by the way, is a character that is just nothing other way to describe him. He's just nasty. What's he doing? He's an artist. All those murals that you see all over the show, he's painting those. Those were human blood. That's what he's doing, and he gets grosser.
Shit.
By the way, we know Daredevil confronts him. There's no after scene, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it right there. Like I said, that episode, that scene, like that whole say his name, the whole you didn't come here for help, you came in for permission, and it is one of the first times you see Matt Murdock not really assured where he's going or why he is somewhere, and for Frank to sniff that out, and because he knows what Foggy meant to him because he knows what Karen meant to him. So he knows that. He knows that that's killing him. He knows that that's killing him to not do something. And he's asking him a legitimate question. You don't have to go out and kill. Frank, Punisher's not saying go out and kill, go out and be me. What Frank is doing, why are you not doing anything? Why aren't you at the very least being Daredevil? You don't have to be like me. You don't have to put somebody in a body bag. But you're not doing anything. And the truth of that, and then that's where Leroy's sitting there. Leroy, the whole episode is about the erosion of the system and how corrupt the system is and how the system needs to be confronted. At some point, you just have enough. Leroy had enough. He had enough of living like shit, had enough of starving. So he stole some caramel corn to have something nice. And then in turn, they're going to spend more money to put him in jail than they are to feed him. And I love the way he put that there. And that, there was nothing particular about him, but it was the escalation of that this thing is crumbling and there's only so much how can you sit by and be a part of this up to a certain extent? And it's ironic that Punisher, the one who's like overdoes it. I mean, but at the same time, it's not about the methods that either one of those men use. It's about, are you doing anything? And he's reached his limit to where he can no longer just do nothing. So that's where they brought this show. Once again, no horn. I mean, there's a horn in there, but no costume, no nothing, no skull, nothing. And they didn't need it to tell a story about the prank castle, the Punisher, and about Matt. I mean, the two characters, Punisher and Daredevil, didn't even need to be there. But you know who they are, and you know why they're there. And it was a reminder about that. And then when he says every time I move, I hear my son. And that's the kind of ghost that Daredevil has to deal with when somebody around him gets knocked off because they're surrounded by him or because somebody thinks their lives aren't worth anything. and it's escalating. Like I said, the main difference between Daredevil Born Again and Daredevil Netflix is that yes, the Kingpin was there. Yes, these other people were there, but they weren't. They didn't have that rolling momentum into this train wreck that's here now in just these 4 episodes. You dealt with things on a. You had an overarching premise, right? But you didn't. I didn't feel myself being shoved into somewhere. I feel comfortable going sometimes. Because Muse is disgusting. He's going to do more disgusting things. If they keep him consistent to the comics, Muse is an Inhuman who, when Black Bolt set off the target bomb, he was one of the ones that was transformed. So he's an Inhuman. So he's not. He's got superhuman powers. His superhuman powers are he can absorb sensory. So a guy like Daredevil is going to have a hard time fighting him because of the way his powers work. But what he is he murders people. He's a serial killer. He took fellow Inhumans and basically killed them and set them up in a room doing mundane tasks as a piece of art. He bleeds people out and uses their blood for paint, as you saw there. And he just does it for art. He's crazy, and life means nothing to him. And I think that's the person who the physical aspect of Daredevil is going to be, meted out during this show, because I don't think he's going to fight Kingpin. I think Kingpin is going to be a chess game. But I also, in the previous iteration of the show, we didn't have a multifaceted, thing coming at you like this. Like I said, you have Muse in the background killing people. Daredevil's going to have to deal with that. You got these dirty ass cops who may or may not be connected directly to Wilson Fisk, that the Punisher is going to have to deal with, and Daredevil is going to have to deal with. And you have the White Tiger, who was introduced basically to escalate things up to a new level. His death means more to the series than his time on the screen did. So the way they set this thing in motion and then they push it down the stairs is a massive improvement. Once again, name me a better scene in 39 episodes of the previous show to where Charlie Cox was like that, and he was great in those episodes. This episode, I felt both him and Frank Castle's pain in this episode, not just because he was crying. And when he screams like that, when they're screaming at each other, it's because they're dancing around, and it's like they finally realize this is who we are. I'm Frank Castle. I kill people.
They find common ground, that they didn't have in that rooftop scene.
Yeah, I'm Matt Murdock. This is what I do. And Frank, I almost said Frank Miller. Frank Castle is he went down there for permission. But what he found is what he needs to do. And that's that last thing where he's opening up and you see those masks and you see him messing around with the nunchucks, and then all of it comes together. You have the triangle. You have Kingpin being a shithead. Even Adam, I thought he was eating him. I thought he was eating him, but I'm like, okay.
Yeah, man, that's at this point, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily put it past the show for stuff like that. But
yeah. So you have Wilson Fisk, you have Muse, and you have Daredevil. And you have Punisher. You have every one of those guys reaching a new level in this show. That's hard to do in an entire run of a show. They did it in 54 minutes. This show, I don't know. I don't know if this is going to be better than Loki for me or better than some of the things for me. But right now, I'm further along with this show in 4 episodes than I am in a lot of other shows that I've watched comic book wise. And that includes the Penguin. And I love the Penguin. There was a sense of escalating dread over the Penguin too, but not like this, not on so many different levels. It was him and what he was doing in his schemes. There's a lot of ways things could just go crazy in this show. You pick your poison. Is it the dirty cops? And how tied to those dirty cops is Wilson Fisk? And then you still have this BB, a Urich girl who's probably going to end up she's going to try to kill her because that's the second time she's embarrassed him now. And you stupid, why is he drinking with a fucking reporter? He knows he's a reporter, but that was dumb. But he admitted that. I didn't need that scene, by the way. I didn't need that scene. Oh, it's me, boss. I appreciate you. I don't care about that. The counseling scene, those are like bathroom scenes for me. I could get up, I could still hear him in the background, but I got to go. But like I said, this episode was about Frank Castle and Matthew Murdock and Daredevil and Punisher. And this show is really good. If you haven't watch this show. Like if you're just now jumping, if you're coming in, this is your first time here. I keep getting the questions of, do you really need to watch the 39 episode? Yes, you do. Even though I think this isn't a massive upgrade, it's because I have something to go off of.
Like I said, it's built on the shoulders of Marvel Netflix.
Yeah,
it's not dismissing it. It's
yeah.
That's the foundation they're building from.
Once
It's
you
the kiddie pool.
well, if you once you understand, but you also got to realize the mission was different. So the mission was different in 2015 and on. It wasn't the psychology that they've approached this to didn't really exist in that way. They were trying to get the show going. They were trying to, they had their budget, they had their things, and Netflix had their mission, and they achieved their mission. Now, when we're talking and bringing things in the broader MCU and the way the MCU builds their characters to make you care about their characters, like I said, you care about what happens to Tony Stark because they designed the character for you to do that way on a scale that's really, really high. When it came to Daredevil, they did, but not necessarily this much. I care more about what happens to Matt Murdock at this point going forward, because now he's in this place to where he's given an inch to that middle ground that he always kept the same in the show. He always wanted to work. He was always chastising, Foggy and them. We got to do this guy. Even once they knew who he was, they were always like, you let me do this. Now these consequences are coming closer to him. And with the Kingpin, he's beaten. By the way, he was being followed there on the way to the Punisher. Remember the guy on the bike? But yeah, this show, and from the first episode, where Fisk gets elected, and then he beats the hell out of those cops like that. I mean, and they him screaming was kind of silly, but you understood that this is the devil. He, pun intended, he's trying to contain. And Frank Castle's like, why? And I love that point where when he punched Frank, and Frank just did. His immediate response was not even to. He understood
he's nothing. He just shakes it off.
Yeah, and plus he understood the anguish. Frank Castle wasn't just some killer in that moment. He understood the anguish. Now, one of the things that his relationship and his conversations with Karen Page back in the original series, this harkens back to that. That's the kind of thing that they would have done back then. So there is a lineage there. Yeah. But when he apologized, he said, sorry, I got that. Because he had lost his cool. He's like, why are you apologizing? That's the first honest thing that you've done. I love that scene. So, yeah.
I think he was impressed.
Yeah, he was. I mean, they've had like altercations before, obviously, but this was like, I mean, this is them like in the context of they're not, the suits aren't there, the weapons aren't there. It's
just a mentality. It's one mentality.
Yeah, it's like I've finally seen like the real Matt Murdock come out.
And Daredevil understood. I mean, what he needed to do. Daredevil understood where he needed to do when he walked out of there, and he couldn't live with himself anymore if he doesn't. It is who he is. So I can't wait for episode 5. I've seen the promo for it. It looks good. They used the speech from this episode to promo the next episode.
Episode 5 and 6, because
5 and 6. So yeah,
back to back on. God, it's like again that's. And again, especially after how this ended, it just really, and you're talking about like the way the show, the flow of it is really presented, that Matt and Fisk, on a collision course, and again the fact they're
everything, not just Matt, but everything is like colliding.
So that tells me like they're doing this mid-season 2-block, episode release. That tells me something pretty significant. A lot of things pretty significant are going to unfold between those 2 episodes.
Well, so it's like a 2-parter.
Yeah, so it's going to be kind of like a mini movie in the middle of the season, which is I can take it because, like I said, I wanted to roll right into the next episode. I don't do the binge watching thing because I think it fries your brain, but I was left walking around, doing my pacing because, like I said, it was such a gripping episode, and they've done a really, really good job. Like I wish Data would have had this kind of approach. It was a different time. Could you imagine if they took the approach that they took with these characters in these first 4 episodes and they applied it to Elektra?
Well,
I mean,
yeah, I mean that movie could have been a lot better. Yeah.
not the movie. Not the movie.
Yeah,
The
no,
movie,
no,
the
no,
movie
no,
was horrible. I'm talking about the character Electra. When she dies, that's the moment that Frank Miller transforms Matthew Murdock because of the anguish over that. And then they meet up with the Punisher again. It ends up happening. They're using Foggy, who, by the way, is not dead. I don't have inside information.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
getting
think Foggy's dead.
that's really
I-
spreading like
There's an,
wildfire
there's
I
an
now.
old thing.
Foggy- I think
There's
Foggy's
an old
alive.
thing there's an
Go
old thing with Hollywood. If there's no body, he ain't dead.
Well, he had a body, but I think he was. Well, in the comics, he fakes his death and he goes in the witness protection program. So maybe he's testifying against cop. It could be, and then the slowing down and stopping of the heart. If somebody knows that that's Matt Murdock's friends, they're going to do something to make even him think he's dead. So slowing down the heart, they could have fooled Bullseye and gave him fake ammo and said, boom, and that's it. I mean, because Bullseye is stupid. So yeah, he would fall for something like that. By the way, one of the dumbest villains Daredevil figures out his identity based on bullshit, but he was right. But hey, fuck that. But if you look at what happened with they're using Foggy to bring out this anguish and this transformation, whereas in the comics it's Elektra. So I wish this writing staff, if this is the same writing staff, or I wish they were in the same spot that they were in. But once again, it was 10 years ago. They did the people who did the original Netflix series did the best they could. I'm just when you're looking at these 4 episodes, to me, I can't call this season 4 because it will be like me in mid-season of a Star Trek show, mid-season, not the first 2 years of next year, mid-season, and coming back, going the first 4 scenes with a low budget type of thing that's kind of cool to watch on TV, and then coming back for seasons 5, 6, and 7 with something that's an Oscar cinematic level that's like millions and millions of dollars. That alone separates it for me. And the acting. All these guys have gotten better. Brett Barenthal, all these people have gotten better at acting within the amount of time that really doesn't exist in the comics. It hasn't been that long. It's been 9 years, but it really hasn't in their time. It's been less than that. So if people want to call it season 4, that I have no problem with that. To me, this is Daredevil Born Again, and everything about it that they've done since episode 1 has cemented this as something else that follows this, but it's now something else.
Well, could you
So
say that
would
maybe
you consider it like more of a sequel series?
I would go with that more than anything else because a sequel you can escalate and you can upgrade the tone overall, and it still fits like Star Trek the motion picture, and then
Yeah.
Star Trek Wrath of Khan is two.
Yeah.
You can tell there's a big bump up in those things,
And I was even going to suggest, I know you hate this word, but you could, but it's not. This is
not a reboot.
Yeah, not in the traditional sense, but like a reboot in the sense of it's a revitalization. Is more the way to put it.
I would say continuation is the right thing. I wouldn't say season 4. This is definitely, no doubt, a continuation, but it's not a season 4 in my opinion. It's a continuation. We are continuing with those people and what they did in those 39 episodes. I wouldn't call it a season 4, because it's not even the same show, in my opinion. But I wouldn't bite you. If you want to call it Daredevil season 4, you can call it season 4. I just don't. I know how I feel when I watch one season after another. And if I were to watch these all in sequence, like a lot of the people are now, because now the numbers of Netflix are starting, or the Netflix one are starting to escalate.
Oh,
now
yeah,
people
I
are
was
seeing those, which is exactly, remember we were talking about the low numbers.
I meant to send that to you. As apparently it's which for those who may not have seen it figure something like the Netflix show, which is on Disney Plus now. Since Born Again started, like the viewership on that has jumped by like 153%.
Yeah, and it's so, like I said, if I were to watch this in one after another and then roll right into Born Again, you would know that you're not watching the same show. You would know you're watching a continuation of it, but when it drops up, you're like, whoa, I was on a roller coaster and now I'm at the space shuttle. So that's how I feel with it. Didn't Bullseye kill 10 other people along with Foggy at the bar? Those could have been plants. Those could have been plants. Bullseye could have been on it. Those people could have been, they could have given him his rifle and said, here, here's the weapon we want you to use. We don't want you to use a card, because he's using a rifle, which he's capable of using, but that's generally not his way of doing things. He has other ways of doing things. So somebody could have set him all up. He's dumb enough to be set up. He's dumb enough to be set up, and it could have been all those guys are in on it. I don't know how many. I don't know if he killed 10. This is just this is just a theory I'm throwing out there. I just don't think Boggy's dead. I haven't put everything together yet. I'm gonna have to watch the episode again. I don't think Boggy's dead. I know he's in the next season. I don't know if it's as a flashback or a ghost, but I know he's in the next season. And to me, I thought it was a mistake to do that, because the moral compass of what Matt Murdock is and what the general public and people and friends mean to him are those two individuals. So I don't think. In the comic, he kills Karen Page. Spoiler alert! It's an older storyline, but it's comic book death, by the way. Any dude, death anywhere. Fast and the Furious, chick flew off of a plane. She came back. Han's back. So these people, they either die. Yeah, they die and they come back from ridiculous circumstances, or they do things where they should die instantly, like a monster or whatever the hell that was with duct tape going re-entry. Anybody? But anyway, so yeah, definitely. Now revival, I don't know if that might. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, because there has been time. There's been a lot of time gone. So I just don't feel, like I said, if I were to watch these episodes in a row and I put these last 4, I don't know. I think this is just something different. It just feels like something different.
A sequel series.
Yeah, you could call it that.
That's probably the best way to put it.
Yeah, because it's based on the previous material, but man, this is a different planet that they're on right now. And like I said, I'm glad that, because like I said, nobody comparatively was watch that original series. I know a lot of people watch it. Don't get me wrong, and stop coming at me in my little message things everywhere else. Now you're messaging me on Instagram. That's great.
And you can see the difference between like the quality of generations and
exactly.
And
like I said, they're all better. But you definitely should watch the previous 39 episodes. But comparatively to an MCU show and an MCU proper, its audience wasn't as big as a lot of people think it is. Like I said, it's one of those cases where if you watch something, you think everybody's watching it. If you love SpongeBob, you think every man, woman, and child is watching SpongeBob. And then you find out that it's you and your friends, which is a lot. It's still a lot. But you could still walk up to somebody who wouldn't know anything about any given thing that you're enjoying right now. And when it comes to Daredevil, because it wasn't the MCU at a time where if everybody had, if you're in the MCU, you had those blinders on. You weren't watching anything that wasn't on that big screen or wasn't being pushed as MCU. That's just what it happened. Now, time has helped that.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin. So like I said, I'm glad, because the numbers were streaked, but I thought they would pick up, and I thought people would go by and reference. But 39 episodes is a lot of homework. Hell, it's homework we didn't finish because of Brad, but we got the 2 seasons, and we'll get back to that. And then you have the Punisher series. If you want to truly understand the Punisher character, up to that point, you got his series, but like I said, this is getting people to go back and watch those episodes. Now, are they going to watch them all? Probably not. Like I said, a lot of people disagree with me, especially after watching Born Again. This should reset your mind into ever needing anything from the Defenders in relation to Daredevil. I do not agree that you need Defenders for Daredevil. I do not agree, because you don't. I'm going to give you, the audience, a little bit more credit than Brad might give you. You really don't. You can refer to it, and guess what? We got this thing that we're on right now called YouTube. There's videos out there that blow 30 minutes of your time, and you can use a cheat sheet to do that. But as far as the context and content of the characters, you don't need that. I would surmise that you need Punisher more than you need them. And like I said, my case is my opinion has been made with last night's episode. So if
Jessica Jones wasn't all that good.
It was pretty.
So.
I thought the first season was pretty good. Then it kind of lost me after that.
I thought she was good throughout, but I thought the show, once again, here's the thing, you can have great performances. If you don't have it surrounded by anything and the foundations and the atmosphere is not there, it's a good performance on a bad show. It's like something, it takes a lot of things to get these comic book IPs over the hill. And you're seeing it with Daredevil. You're being, there's no one singular focus. They're making sure that Matt Murdock has a lot to work with. There's a lot to work with in this season. And you don't need to clutter it with anything else. You got your perfect amount of Frank Castle. And when it's time for him to come in, I don't need Frank Castle all over this show. Shit, we were in 4 episodes before we even saw him, and he don't even look like himself. I need him in the episode because there's something for him to deal with, and that's something that they did with Netflix that I did not like. Those characters really didn't need to be there. Frank Castle needs to be here. The cops and the skull, he has to deal with them. And Officer Powell, sorry, I know you share my last name. You're gonna get fucked up. I don't know who's gonna do it. I don't know if you're gonna die by virtue. Maybe Muse will bleed you out and make a sculpture of you. Maybe Frank might bust a cap in you, or maybe Daredevil will just beat you to the point where you're basically have to go spend the rest of your life being. You're gonna get tore up, and I'm gonna love that point. Now we know because of the heartbeat that he didn't have anything to do with it, but he's dirty and he needs to go.
Yeah, but he's gonna get his comeuppance one way or another.
But I want to know who pulled the trigger. I want to know who pulled the trigger, and I want to know who ordered it, and that's the intrigue. Now that they've eliminated Officer Powell as part of that, who is it? It's a cop. It's another cop because the evidence there, and you don't need to really frame the cops. So did Wilson Fisk directly have one of his henchmen cops? And then basically, I think it might have him up for chaos.
Vanessa too.
Could have been Vanessa.
She's really stepping up as far as like being a crime boss.
Yeah,
but she wasn't directly connected to. I mean, I get. Like I said, these are questions I look forward to having answered. But hey, there we go, guys.
Could the woman that Matt Murdock is with, could she be dirty?
She could be, but there's no motive. It's got to be somebody who had a motive to do it.
Well, like William said, when we watched that episode, the reason why like the whole anti-vigilante crusade Kingpin's launching as mayor, and the question was raised, like, why is he like going after the other like Spider-Man?
Hector is shot. Hector is shot while he's saying all that bullshit. So remember that.
Yeah, and the question was raised, why is he going after like the other heroes that are either in New York or like in the larger universe, and William said, very aptly, it's like, because with Kingpin, like it's personal with him, and
it's his undoing. It's in every level that they've ever told a Kingpin Matt Murdock story. This is his undoing. Disney should take more notes from Netflix. No, I think it's the other way around, but I don't expect Netflix to, because this isn't their mission to build this type of escalation. It's
apples and oranges.
Yeah. So no, I don't think. I think Disney took all the notes that they needed from them, and then they added their thing. You clearly see their thing. And listen, I love the way MCU evolved to where they will even go in this territory. Give the people who run Disney MCU credit for evolving. You might not always agree with the content that they end up with, but they're doing things outside of their normal box. They are taking chances that 5, 6, 7 years ago. Case in point, we even have a Daredevil Born Again, because there were so many people begging for years and years and years. Should we do this? They should really, and Disney's like, no, we got our thing going. But you know what? They as times change, they've evolved. Not only that, Disney 8 years ago would not have put out a tone of show like this. Period. And there's other things that they're doing now that they would not have done. So they've evolved as a studio, and Daredevil Born Again is a perfect example of that. So kudos to everybody who is even willing to give this a shot, because remember, they were going a different way, and they decided, you know what, we're going to go this way, and embrace it and improve. That's what they've done. They've embraced Netflix show, but they've improved on it in every way. I can't think of anything in this show that has not been improved from the last time we saw these characters over on that platform. The acting is improved. Obviously, we've spoken, the budget has improved.
Yep.
The dialogue, the script is 100% improved. The pacing of the show is improved. So yeah, it's
even the wardrobe,
wardrobe. Yep. So yeah, I'm enjoying the show. Disney was originally going to retcon the original yeah. Well, remember they had the whole
That's why they did the overhaul, yeah, because it's like, okay, bad decision, let's go back and undo that.
Well, you also have to realize though, in the interim, they didn't think that this was going to be acceptable to a general audience. And you've had things that have happened that have shown them that yes, it can. We can do things. Invincible's a disgusting show. You see people's heads exploding on that show. The Boys, he literally lasered off a guy's dick. Literally put a hole through his groin and showed you that. So those same people are watching. They're growing up and they're watching these shows now. So they know the market is out there and that they can do it without alienating their audience. Before that wasn't the case. That wasn't the case in 2015. Hell, that wasn't even the case in 2017-18. To be honest with you. That is just now becoming the case to where they feel safe enough to do it. So the original show that they were doing fit that original narrative. But the show that they turned it into, you can, it wasn't because they necessarily didn't like what they were putting out before they rewrote and did the show. They just didn't think there was a market for what they would eventually give us. And at the time they were right. But as they saw the climate around superheroes and these type of superheroes and this kind of blood, guts, and gore thing, they realized that what they would be doing would be tame. And it is. I mean, it's much more violent. This show is, I'm sorry, I know that Daredevil and Netflix had its violence. This show is done a lot of violence in 4 episodes, and even in the episode, and that's given episodes that there's no violence at all. It's
but
just
the thing is with this one is there's more psychological
there's intensity
to it that it doesn't really need too much violence in some episodes, so they can hold back a little bit.
Yeah, because in the violence when some of the violence in the original series was there, but it didn't always mean anything. It was just a cool scene. The violence in here when it happens, it's part of the escalation. It's part of the meal. It's part of the thing. He's not just, hey, you know what? We've reached a level. Now it's time to go. When he gets his hands on some of the people that are causing all this, they're gonna get their asses whipped, and you're gonna feel it in your bones. The culmination of him beating those people. When Frank caps some fools, and you know that's coming. Probably next episode, you're gonna feel these people have earned the right to die on screen or have their ass beat on screen, and that wasn't always, in my opinion. Everybody's different. In the Netflix show, you got the violence, but it wasn't always placed to help the story. Whereas whatever violence you've gotten in these 4 episodes has escalated. There's been a direct lineage to 1, 2, 3, bam. Like when they killed the old lady, the one who was going against Fisk in the building permits and all that. That death didn't mean as much as it should have. They did not do as much as they should have. If that would have happened under these circumstances, you would have had something epic. So. Like I said, but it was 10 years ago. They did the best they could, and the show, we wouldn't have the show we're watching without them setting the ground for it. So, but I don't know if course corrected is it. I think they just looked well. Yeah, the correct course they were on was fine for the atmosphere that they thought that this show was being put in it, because you don't want to put out something that's going to turn off your audience. And once they realized, they did some research, these audiences that are watching this or watching that. Now we got brutal Daredevil. All right, this is gonna be the last one. Hopefully, season 2 of Born Again doesn't tie to the Avengers, and if it does, not like wholeheartedly. Like I said, I have as much use for the Avengers in Daredevil as I do for the Defenders in Daredevil, which is absolutely nothing. And so I'm not on those characters. Obviously, we know the Avengers are epic moneymakers, but is it relevant to the story? What you got in episode 4 is how these things need to be handled. No one that doesn't need to be there needs to be there. Frank Castle needed to be there. He needed to be there. I don't need Iron Fist. I don't need Power Man in this story. If you can make an argument that they are needed somewhere else, that's fine. In the context of the Born Again story being told now, that would be like having an orchestra and having some fucking clowns come out on stage and juggle. It doesn't fit. It's not necessary. You can have the clowns do it somewhere else where there's other clowns. Not this show. Please don't clutter this show. Please don't clutter.
Make me buzz you, man.
Hey, listen, it's the truth. Don't clutter this show. You need, and this is another thing. You need to recognize what you have here versus what Netflix was. That didn't work for me in the Netflix show. It sure as hell doesn't work here. You want to talk about killing momentum and escalation and decentralizing things and putting the focus on things that have no business even being there. That's what kills your momentum, and that's what chops up your pace. Save the Defenders for somewhere where they are relevant and they belong. They do not belong in this show, especially for more than a minute or two. You want to say, "Hey, hi, Luke. Hey, what's going on, Jessica?" You meet in somewhere, and I'm going to time that shit. Should be 3 minutes. At no point should any defender or combined unit of defenders exceed the time that you saw Frank Miller and Matt Murdock talking. They should not exceed the time on screen than relevant characters to the mythos should. If you start doing that, we're going to start going down that road of, like I said, you got a triad here of just violence. That's all you need. That's all you need. Now, if they get their own show and you want to have Daredevil swing by there, that's fine. I don't think Daredevil can hurt the Defenders show. I think Defenders can hurt the Daredevil show, especially this version of the show. So I know they're talking about it, but that's fine. It's like to what degree?
A lot they're talking about it.
But that doesn't mean that could amount to 5 minutes. That could amount to fucking Foggy. It's been on screen for what, 7 minutes of the show, and he was advertised. They showed him walking in the park, and everybody's like, "Oh, man, welcome back, Foggy." Yeah. Foggy ain't been shit since episode 1. So yeah, they could be talking about it, but that doesn't mean that they need to. Like I said, you might hate Muse. You got superhumans involved in there. Do you know anything about Muse? Because he's an Inhuman. It's like a conversation or something like that. But I don't need to see them. If there's a 55-minute show, they got 5 minutes. They got 5 minutes on the Daredevil show. Give them their own show. Hook them up with Hawkeye. Do it tracksuit. Have them go after the tracksuit. Whatever you want to do. But
no.
Please
not let that Hawkeye one go. Not letting that Hawkeye one go, man.
Please do not clutter this beautiful show with the clutter that you did towards the end of Daredevil. It's not necessary, and they've proven it's not necessary. They've done a lot with very little. There's not a lot of characters in this show. If you're high-end characters in this show, if you notice, it's all you got some supporting characters, but the focal points are on a handful of people. Keep it that way, please. And like I said, if you enjoy Defenders, go watch it. It's on Disney Plus. If you want more Defenders, there's a whole giant salad of MCU. But please, for the love of God, don't fuck up this show with the Defenders. All right, don't do it. I can't believe that you guys can produce episodes like episode 4 and consider cluttering the show when you've got something special. That's one of the improvements, by the way.
You went. I'm sorry, man. I gotta do it again. That Hawkeye one. It's like no, that warrants 10.
Well, you keep buzzing me, but it's just as relevant.
That's the Hawkeye one. I'm sorry, I cannot.
But listen. It doesn't matter who it is. Doesn't matter who it is. Right now, I don't need any additional characters in the show other than the ones that they have. Hell, Muse is a major villain, and you only get glimpses of him. So the one of the things that they've done with this show is that there's
this Muse guy is disgusting.
He's nasty. Yeah, look at
him. It's gonna get nastier. Trust me.
I wonder if they're gonna do the posing of the bodies like he did with his fellow Inhumans. He had one sitting on the toilet that he killed, and one was making coffee, and he just poses him like that, dead. And it's a sick thing.
I thought this is a superhero show, not a horror.
But see, that's the thing, though. And this is a different. You wouldn't have seen a character like Muse in the previous iteration, in my opinion. But like I said, save the Defenders for their own show somewhere down the line. Have them pop in for a cup of coffee, but do not. I don't want to. 5 minutes. You get 5 minutes. If you have them on the screen more than Frank Castle's on the screen, we got a problem.
No, I'm sorry, William. I'm sorry, but that Hawkeye comment, I can't let that slide. You got to get another one.
You're not gonna.
What
You're
is
gonna
his
make me
news
hide
site?
the
Is he
buzzer.
like Art the
I'm gonna
Clown or
hide the
something?
button. He's a what?
Is he like Art the Clown or something?
No, he's an Inhuman, and when he was, he's a serial killer. And when Black Bolt released did the Terrigen bomb, he was one of the ones that was infected. And they actually went, and the Inhumans, they had a story where they went and found all the ones that might have been made crazy by the Terrigen mist, but he was already crazy before the Terrigen mist mutated him. So he was already a serial killer, and now he just uses his powers and his, to do even worse. But yeah, they got like I said, we might cover Muse this weekend for a little bit, not for the full on
Yeah,
topic, but we
yeah.
might cover him because there's a lot of people
That's very
that
interesting.
doesn't. And he looks, by the way, you want to talk comic book accurate? He's
Yeah.
the most comic book accurate one on the show. That's it. He looks exactly like he does in the comic. But I wonder how much they'll go into depth with him because there's a lot, and the few issues that he's around and in the storyline that he's brought back in, he's only in one storyline. He's only one storyline, and somebody thought that, hey, let's put this creepy mofo in here, and he's creepy. I don't know if he will be as creepy in this show as he is in the comic books, but I'm there for it if he is.
I guess
He does some horrific
does an
stuff.
impression on this character.
Was a
make
cool
him a
looking
live
character.
action.
Was it the blood coming down his face? He's a cool looking character. Let's see. I know you told me how to pronounce this before. Arun Anand. Arun Anand. I was just gonna say Arun. I think Iron Fist and Luke Cage are more powerful and a little cheesy to fight. Yeah, they don't need to be there. And I know there's been stories, and they weren't the best stories that they in the comics recently where they've been in there, and that's fine. But it all depends on the story that you're telling. Born Again, this story doesn't need anything like that. I don't need to see Danny. I don't need to see him here.
Stop
I don't
making me go
need
to
to
the
see
buzzer.
him here. I'm going to delete the buzzer when we're doing it one more time. I don't need to see that. You know why? And here's the thing. When I had Hector Ayala's amulet, which was directly tied to him, we didn't see any fantastical shit there. It didn't even mean anything. So we don't need to. There's a time and a place for that, and it's not Born Again. And I hope they stay consistent in that.
Well, again, it's like that Hawkeye one, man. I'm sorry, that one. That was just not acceptable. That was just, you degraded my boy too much.
Well, hey, it's the same premise.
No,
a wasteful character.
You suggest
a wasteful character that's out of place.
He put him on that god awful show. It's like, no, I draw the line. I tolerate it so much because the show's terrible, and he's better. All three of them are better characters than that show deserves.
None of them. They have as much place in Daredevil is the Tracksuit Mafia, and they do. They have
I let so much of that, but no. When you went
to
Hawkeye, I'm sorry that you crossed the line there.
You're trying to take it to different levels, but it's not. It's all the same level. If you don't belong in the show, you don't belong in the show, no matter how horrible or great the show is.
Send him to Hawkeye, man. I'm sorry. That's where
he is. That's the equivalent. Not the
equivalent.
What they take away from the show,
all of them are here. Yeah. Hawkeye's here. Hawkeye's not even here. Hawkeye's down by the floor.
But if you add them to Daredevil, then they become Tracksuit Mafia to me. All right. So
by the way, it's like, because again, like there is for those of you not following kind of the chatter around the making of because they are filming a Born Again season 2 right now. And
Foggy's there. Foggy's fucking alive. Anyway, second time watching Angela take the amulet from Matt. Yeah. Like I said, they didn't do anything fantastical with that. And when you saw, and like I said, didn't help him. That amulet has powers that should have prevented from somebody just walking up on him like that and just blasting him. But I know they did it for effect. All right, guys, that's about it. Hour 43 minutes. I went on a little bit too much because of Brad trying to equate.
William's trying to bring awesome characters down.
Hawkeye / Defenders level.
We got some good questions from the audience, though.
Yep, we did. We had some interaction. So, all right, guys. So next week we have 2 episodes. So and they'll be on time. We'll be on time. So we don't have anything. We don't have anything happening. I'll be on time as far as I go. It'll be on Tuesday at least. How about that? I will not be available tomorrow evening. Usually, from now on, I'm probably not going to do a Friday show unless I just got an abundance of energy and time. But Saturday show, we got a lot loaded. We got Brad's article
Yes.
So what I might do is I might read the article so that you hear it in the same voice that he heard it when he wrote the article, my voice. But anyway,
I can assure you, I heard, and no, the only voice, no, it wasn't, no, it was my voice. Maybe a little bit of Aaron's voice, because Aaron helped out a lot too.
yeah, okay. It's funny. It's like I'm going through therapy, reading my own words back to me on the thing. It's like, yeah, I'm a smart guy. I'm a swell guy. Look at what happens when you put my shit in an article. I sound really smart, don't I? Anyway, so we'll have Brad's article. We'll have that. We're going to go over Absolute Flash. By the time I have not read Absolute Flash, it's at the store right now. But I will go over Absolute Flash with you guys and in detail. You know that we covered Absolute DC last week, but we didn't have a Flash. We also cover Absolute Batman #6. There's a couple of other things that we'll go. Oh, we're gonna go over hypothetically how James Gunn could use Batgirl and the Flash if he ever wanted to do anything like that again. I got a way that we're going to attack it. And then we got some other stuff, but we got a pretty full show this Saturday. I'm planning it out because, like I said, I want to make it a nice, sleek, compact show. And we don't always happen that way. So, so I'm trying to make the thumbnail's going to be awesome, though. I can tell you that right
I'm going
now.
to be on it.
Well, you're on all the other
on
ones,
it.
and you really don't really.
Now I'm going to be on
include
twice.
those, so, yeah, so no, because I'm not using you in the thumbnail for your article. That's kind of redundant.
Hey,
You're already on the screen.
Just put my name
You're on the
there.
screen already. Not putting your name on this. If they see it, keep it, whatever. You know what? So we'll see you guys. I haven't decided on whether I'm going to do afternoon. I still got a lot of physical work to do at the store to get ready. Now we're in springtime. We're headed towards WrestleMania. I got all kinds of stuff that I'm doing for WrestleMania. I will be scarce during the week of WrestleMania, not because I'm going to WrestleMania, but there's like 1,000 indie shows around here. I'm going to be going to those. I'm going to be hosting one, getting ready. All of April is going to be getting ready for Free Comic Book Day because we're going to do massive events for that. And then May 4th is a Sunday. It's right after that. So I got a lot going on that I got to get ready for. So my streaming time we're still streamed. Don't get me wrong. But it's just going to be a little bit more organized strategically so that I can get everything done that I get done and still get my time. So I will see you Saturday at some point. Just keep your eye on the bell. Like, subscribe, share the stream, bring new people in, share the religion. If you enjoy these conversations and maybe you think your friends might enjoy them, bring them in. I always like seeing new names in the chat, even if I can't pronounce them all the time. I mean, I'll work on it. So, all right, I'll see you guys Saturday. Goodbye.
Later, guys.
Goodbye.